Hey, and a good Monday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel with the weather report. Yeah, here on your December the 15th, 2025. I hope everybody had a great weekend. If I get my mouth to work this morning. And again, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to personally give you a personal invite to please consider subscribing to your no-nonsense weatherman here. We like to keep it to you straight. You know, there's enough clickbait out there to kind of treat every storm as the storm of the century. We don't do that here. We just want to give you the great information, get you prepared, make you informed decisions, and get you on your way without having to have to worry about anxiety and weather stuff and things like that. Anyway, let's get into this. I digress a little bit. Anyway, look at our extremes yesterday. Boy, they were big. You're talking about minus 29. That was up there at Bataura. Hope I pronounced that right, Minnesota. And 86 out there in Catalina foothills in Arizona, as well as Ochoape in Florida. I also had 86 yesterday, but that is what you call an extreme. But the theme for this update is the fact that we've got some cold air right now in the east, but looks like we're in store for a major pattern shift, a big thaw across the country, temperatures well above normal. December heat wave, well, heat wave by December standards, we'll just say here for a lot of the country going into Christmas week. And it looks like, I think this pattern is going to hold right into the end of the year, which means a lot of those clickbaiters out there are going to be struggling to really talk about anything they can hype or try to spin as bad, because it's going to be fairly quiet. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this report right now, get you started as we look at the surface weather map here. Let me get this up here. There we go. And as you can see, we got a little snow there across the Great Lakes here for this morning. We got some very cold air all the way to the Gulf Coast. We got freezing temperatures down here in Florida. We got another storm system out here on the West Coast, bringing some pretty good heavy rains out there. And they continue to get drenched out there. They have major flooding over the weekend out there in Washington State. And flooding will continue to be a problem out there. But this cold air is getting ready to kick on out. It's about ready to move on out. And once it does, that's the last of the shots that we've been dealing with basically since about Thanksgiving. So we got some big changes coming here for the week ahead. So I want to go ahead and start off by taking a look at these temperatures. I got the east up here first, just kind of a show you a comparison here. Again, the areas and temperatures here in the east. You got some below zero temperatures out here. That's that gray area here. A lot of single digits. We got teens down here in the Georgia as well. Very, very cold. But if you go out in the west, well, not looking as bad out there. Relatively warm by December standards. I mean, it's colder up, obviously, in the mountains, higher elevations, but not seeing as much purple there, shall we say. A lot milder out in the west. And what's out in the west is going to be basically spreading from coast to coast. It's going to be much milder here across a big portion of the country. All right, let's go talk about some of that up the Pacific Northwest. They keep getting hit pretty good. They're getting some pretty good rains here for this morning, and you're definitely seeing that right now as we got some pretty good rains coming in towards Seattle, continuing with that onshore flow coming out of the Pacific as kind of one system after another. And the trend is for this forecast, the track that can basically ride the northern part of the jet stream along the Canadian and American border. And all the cold air is going to be shunted and staying up into Canada. Now, we do have one storm system we got to watch this week. There's possible Thursday we could be dealing with, because of the warmer weather we're expecting in the middle of the country. There could be some thunderstorms, possibly severe. We'll watch it closely. I think we'll have a better idea tomorrow, but we do have some thunderstorms in the offing. I do want to go ahead and show you that real quick. Let me go pull that up for you. As we're looking at, this is your day 2 outlook. So this is going for tomorrow, going into Tuesday. All right, get that up. Here we go. And again, this is along the Texas Gulf Coast from Brownsville up to Galveston. And then I'm going to pull back here, go to your day 3. And you see it kind of goes up into Missouri, Illinois, and back down along the Gulf Coast. So as day 4 is not showing anything from the Storm Prediction Center, but with the dynamics of that next cold front, which I'm going to show you here in a second, it might be a severe thunderstorm or two. It's possible. We'll watch it closely. But again, I'm not expecting a major severe weather outbreak. Nothing like that. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the model data here. Let's go talk about, first we're going to be looking at the NAM here real quick. Let me get that up for you. All right. I don't know why this thing resets. Every time I pull it up, it should be resetting, but it does every time. But anyway, I digress. So let's get this up. All right. So let's look at this real quick. Again, no big storm system. We still got that track coming in on the West Coast. So again, we got cold air across the Northeast. That's kind of lingering on out. That's pulling on out. We got this, again, active storm out here on the West Coast. Bottom of the country, look at that middle of the country, ain't nothing going on. Pretty quiet here through the middle of the week. Got a little moisture here coming up toward the end. Here we got a little thunder. You see a little rain here on the end of this run. Going up, again, that's going into that next storm system, pulling out. going into Thursday. So we've got that trough coming in here from that storm system on the west coast. Going to come on in. We're going to start tapping a little bit of that Gulf moisture finally. We haven't seen a lot of this here recently. So this is going to be streaming up here as this next storm system kind of ejects out into the plains, and that'll be going into Thursday and Friday. So I'm going to show you the European here in a second to show you that. But very decent snows out in the west, heavy rainfall, that definitely out in the west. As you take a look at the rainfall totals here, this takes us out till, again, on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So most of the country pretty dry, right? Except for the Pacific Northwest. I mean, they're very, very active, even getting into Northern California. The interior section is obviously looking at some heavy rain. That'll be snows, obviously, across Idaho, Montana. And we can go ahead and show you the snow totals here, again, going out for the next, we got a little bit along the Great Lakes, a little bit up there with that cold air across the northeast, but the heavier snows, again, going to be out in the west. And again, when you see green on this map, we're talking feet, 56 inches, 31 inches, 45 inches, 65 inches, 38 inches. So, yeah, the Northern Rockies continue to get blasted with some pretty good heavy snows out there across Idaho, Montana, even get the Cascade Mountains up here across the Pacific Northwest will continue to get hammered pretty good with some heavy snows. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this cold air that's moving on out here. Again, this is your 6Z that takes us out to Wednesday. We're going to say goodbye to this cold air. We've got one more decent cold day ahead for Tuesday morning. There's a little cold shot coming along the northern tier that's going to be riding into the northeast a little bit, but we're going to be eroding this away. The theme for next week is you're going to see a lot more yellow on this map, folks, covering a big part of the country. It's going to be a relatively mild Christmas. Those wanting a white Christmas, it's going to be very combined. The mountains, maybe the northeast, that's about it. Any snow that we've had here recently, a lot of it's going to be melting away, especially across the Midwest. We're going to really be eroding that away going into next week. So for you snow lovers out there, I wish I had better news on that. Here's the reason why, okay? We're going to look at the jet stream flow. This is your 500 millibar height anomaly, and you're going to see a lot of orange. When you see a lot of orange, that's high pressure right? Look where the jet stream is going on this thing as we're wrapping up the year, okay? So look where it is currently, all right? So here's your current configuration right now. Big ridge out in the west. We got this big cold. We've had these consistent cold shots coming in here across the northeast, okay? That's currently. We got one more storm system. Got this next little dip coming in the wind. There it is right there. Coming into Thursday, coming down. So there's that one, all right? That'll be moving out. And then look what happens to the jet stream by the time we go this weekend. It's going to flatten out. And not only is it going to flatten out, it's going to shift further north as we go into Christmas week. So look as we go into 22nd. Look at this by 23rd. Wow. Got a drop out, got a little storm out on the west coast, but look at this. This is something. You get maybe the cold air up to the northeast, but this means big time warm up here across a big portion of the country going to the 23rd. And this is Christmas Eve. So again, maybe some cooler weather, some stormy weather out here on the west coast, but a big part of the country is looking pretty warm going into Christmas Eve. And that'll continue into Christmas Day and really kind of finish up the year. I mean, look where the jet stream is. At the end of this run, I mean, the jet stream's up here on the northern tier. That's it. Big part of the country going to stay very warm, very mild. So, December heat wave, definitely in the cards. And when I say heat wave, it's all relative, obviously. We're talking about, temperatures that are supposed to be, 30s, 40s, and 50s, getting 60s and 70s, maybe some 80s down toward Texas. I mean, just very, very warm, very unusual by December standards, okay? So let's look at your forecast here. Again, we got a couple storm systems. Again, we're going to watch this one on the west coast. That's going to be coming in. It moves up here. So here it is up here. And we're going to tap some moisture out of the Gulf. Next storm system, there it is. So we'll have to watch here on Thursday afternoon. Do we get some thunderstorms in here? We got a pretty good cold little cold shot behind this. We get the clash of the air masses here. Maybe we get some severe weather on Thursday. This pushes off very quickly, though, Friday and Saturday. And we get a little cold air across the northeast. A little weak system out on the west coast here on Saturday and Sunday. We got another little weak system here across the south. Another little weak system here. Again, the cold air, not bad up here across New England and the Great Lakes. But going into next week, man, got a storm system on the west coast. See that big storm there? California finally going to get some rain back in here. They have not seen that. They haven't seen that in about a month. But they got some pretty good rains out there going 23rd, 24th. But a lot of the country here going into Christmas. This is Christmas Eve. Again, 10-day snapshot here. Looking pretty warm. And the fact that I'm starting to see this high pressure here off the southeast coast, that's La Nina, typical La Nina. The areas here across the south are going to be looking pretty mild indeed, probably some 10 to 15 degrees above where they're supposed to be for this time of year. So let's go look at our rainfall totals again. West Coast, a lot of heavy rain out here. Northern California, 13 inches. I mean, this is unreal. 11 inches I guess if you're going to hype anything, I guess you can hype what's going on the West Coast. It's a pretty good heavy rains. Most of the country, very dry. Even this rain here across the east is a 10-day total is pretty low. There's just a lack of storm system tracks across the country. Anything yellow is above an inch. But again, 10-day total, only seeing that's pretty low. That's pretty cruddy, to be honest with you. All right, so let's talk about this cold air. It's a 10-day loop. We'll be hugging right along the Canadian border into the northeast. But that's about it. We're going to say goodbye to this cold air as this moves on out. Got one little cold shot coming in northeast going into Thursday. Here's another little purple. So we got a little Arctic outbreak here across the northern tier again on Friday behind that next storm system. It moves into New England, pulls on out. Here's another little one on Saturday, Sunday. Again, we're just kind of teasing right along the Canadian border. But look at here. This is Monday. Look at all these 60s, even the foothills. 61 in Denver. I mean, all that we're in the 40s up here. Again, we're supposed to be into December. These highs are supposed to be in the 30s. All right, so we're not there. It's cold in New England. That's cold going into the 23rd. But look what happens as we go into this is the 23rd. I mean, look at it. We got 60s here in Nebraska and South Dakota in December the 23rd. This is unreal. 70s. I got 80s in South Texas. We got 60s going into Missouri. This is unreal. This is just unbelievable. And then we're going to do it again. I mean, look at this Christmas. This is Christmas Eve. 67 in the middle of 62 in St. Louis. I mean, we got 60s going up into South Dakota. Again, we're supposed to be sitting at single digits, teens. I mean, it's supposed to be cold up here. The only cold spot I see going into Christmas Eve is going to be the Northeast. So this is something I've been kind of preaching. I kind of saw this coming. When you get a big Arctic outbreak like we're doing right now, you're going to get exact flip flop on it on the backside of this thing, and it looks like this is going to hold right into the new year. So this is the latest outlook here. Let me get this closed out. I got to update that payment method because I switched cards. But again, this is going from the 20th to the 24th. Again, the only place you're seeing the cold air is right along that border. As we saw, there's multiple little cold shots that are hiding in there, but that jet stream's way off to the north. So again, this goes out to the 24th and then going out to the 28th. No big changes here. So I don't expect any big changes in our outlook here as far as our temperatures, probably until we get into the first week of January, unless we get a big change. Dry weather across a big part of the east, except for the west coast. Obviously, we got some flooding problems out here. We got to watch here going into next week, going into the 20th to the 24th. That's showing up very clearly on the models. And then going out from the 8th to the 14th. Again, look at this dry weather. These lakes across the southeast, a lot of them are getting near 10-year lows. I mean, this is getting the winter months supposed to be recharging those things, and it ain't happening. Compliments of La Nina, which is forecast to weaken as we go into January. That's what I'm hoping for. Hoping for a little more better weather tracking going into January than what we're currently seeing here on December the 15th. But for right now, it's cold in the east, but you got about one more day of this stuff. It's going to moderate. You folks in the northeast, you're the only ones who look like you got any shot for any kind of cold or any maybe snows for Christmas. Most of the country ain't going to have squat. The higher elevations out in the east, obviously, or the west. And thank you there, Julie. I appreciate that. And then also the higher, the Pacific Northwest. So that's about it. I wish I had better news for you on that front. I know a lot of folks like to say, that white Christmas and all that stuff. I'm just not seeing it. Not the cards for this year. And we'll see what happens. It's always subject to change. But when we get a major pattern change like we're going to see, again, the normal duration, we had the one came in November. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks. So just do the math. It's middle of December. We're going to get a pattern shift probably going into the 17th and 18th, right? Big warm up. So that takes us right into the new year. So I expect sometime around we get into the first week of January, that's when we should probably see some sort of pattern change here. It'll also give the Canada and Alaska to get the cold to kind of recharge and reset a little bit up there. Still staying pretty snowy up there and cold as well. So we'll continue to monitor the snowpack up there in Canada and across Alaska as well. All right, that's what we got up there this morning. Again, thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. Mick, good to see you this morning. Yeah, pretty cold there in Arkansas. You guys will be warming up too. And G-Bro, good to see you there as well. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. All right, that's y'all's update for today. Y'all be good, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. See if we got any changes coming up right now. Christmas looks like the Grinch who stole Christmas because there ain't going to be no Christmas weather for a lot of the country. All right, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.